Hello, I am the cartoonist M. Rashid. This cartoon was made as the cover to a Quora question that I answered. The question was asking for the pros and cons of making morally ambiguous decisions. I approached the answer uh, from the position of like it was related to the good men doing nothing concept, and I also brought in the banality of evil concept that Snowden talked about with Russell Brand that time. It was very insightful to me. You know, the concept of I could put evil right in your face and hide it in a droning monotone legalese kind of thing, and you'll just your way through it. Evil doesn't have to be uh of the sneaky type that we're used to from popular fiction. It could be right in your face with so much red tape, so much uh, jargon, like especially legal jargon. Like they make that stuff thick for a reason so that the average person, you remember in slavery, there were people who would run away, go to the next state, and then sue the United States or sue whoever for their freedom, and then they would win, you know, showing a level of sophistication that I often reference from our ancestors back then, that they were far more savvy than we are now, and that was by design. The way they were then, they were just, it was a lot of North America, the tame, and you needed bodies and you needed the free slave labor to pull it off for maximum profits. So you didn't have the sophisticated indoctrination spirit breaking machine that they have right now. Like right now, we're like enslaved mentally, you know. Like the what do they call it? When you're breaking the body, it's called the breaking. The physical uh, turning people over physically to be subjugated. That's called the breaking, the whip, the beatings. And then when you're doing it afterwards, the next stage, at once you've broken the body, the next step is called the seasoning, and that's all mental, psychological, emotional. How you get them there, and the things that's why it's important. That's why I know I got really mad talking about that eye thing last time, and the tools they use and how they talk to you, to my people specifically. But that it comes from that. That's the seasoning talk, the gaslighting, the continuous lying that comes out of that face. Speaking with forked tongue and all that, like even my comments tonight and some of my videos. I do screen captures and put them into my more to play around with for cartoons in the future. And some of them I just delete because I said up front for this video series, I'm not letting stuff stay if it's like some stuff I'll let stay just to illustrate certain points in case people want to act stupid. You know, certain like really colorful like little phrases. I'll just leave it at just so I can reference back to it. It's like, see, like Chris Rock said, that train is never late. Look. But other times I'm like, I don't want that nonsense on my thing. It's been too much time has passed, and my people have been influenced by you and how you strut about in the earth. I have too many people who are still under the mental seasoning yoke. And I don't want you coming to my stuff and looking down and seeing that trash, So, not without me decoding it for you first and making fun of it so you could see that creature clearly. I don't want him raw. Don't look the fiend directly in the eye. Don't look the fiend directly in the eye. Do not take him from face value, and do not believe him. Even when he accidentally tells the truth or is strategically telling the truth for purpose, just treat it like a lie until you can get it back to the lab. This is best. So, for the cartoon, for the answer, and then I'm illustrating it here using the little red hen in the grain of wheat parody. But basically it's approaching the concept of embedding moral ambiguity into society itself, because the uncompromising black and white language of the one God in sacred scripture is what conflicts the bad guy of our story. That's what, gets the people together to do what they need to do to fight this creature. And however briefly, put society back the way it needs to be so that everybody can be okay until the next bigness figure shows up to start the cycle all over again. But we deserve to have at least a little bit of ease in between those eras. It's inevitable, and even in scripture, God is like, I've given the fiend respite until the last day. So, which means, unless it's his will, God is not going to do anything to the creature. We all have our free will. We all have, God's given us all the platform to live our earthly lives how we're going to live it. And he'll judge us on the other side. So he's not going to reach in and do stuff, lest it be his will or some whatever mini plan that's going on for the long term. For the most part, God allows us to manage our affairs on our own. He's like, I've given you free will. I've given you the bounty of the earth. I've given you your intelligence, your bodies. I've given you my scripture, which is the guide for how to prosper both in this life and in the next, how to get back here. I've given you my instruction. So now it's your job to manage your affairs, and let's see how you do. And whatever you do, I'll be waiting, and I will judge it. That's the nature of our lives here. So, knowing this, whatever is happening around us, whatever is happening in our human civilization, we, as a species, are doing it. So, if you know that there's figures who their natural bent is to hoard all that is good just for themselves, and they're talented enough that in the doing, it dramatically drops the life quality of the majority of us. So, in managing our affairs, according to sacred scripture, it's in our best interest to control this person. As a civilization, we have laws for a reason. if it wasn't for the ever-present dedicated criminal class, would we need our laws? And sacred scripture says, no matter how small, whatever agreements you do among each other, put it in writing. If it wasn't for the ever-present criminal class, would that be necessary? Yes, because people forget. People forget, honestly forget, but people also often lack integrity when that greed muscle flexes. Often. And in here, in the second Gilded Age, the grifter class, the three-card Monte guys, have reached the very top of our chain, of our social economic chain, the very top. They're the advisors to kings. They're the advisors to the United States president and the legislative branch and the judicial branch. The grifter class. Matt Taibbi was kind enough to flesh out exactly what that looks like. Where this one wrote an internal memo granting himself, without any authority, the ability to grift the markets from the fixes that were put in place for the Great Depression. And he just put himself there and just started doing shit just so he could, like, the usual suspects, doing shit. So, as we're managing our affairs as a species, we've allowed the fiend of legend to take over. That is the second Gilded Age in action. This is the age of the worst of us, fully in charge. He's built a machine just for him, and we all just hanging off of it, like flipping around, and what the hell? And he's convinced us using this powerful tool of mass media that he's the good guy, that this is something to aspire to, instead of, kicking his door in and dragging him towards the gibbet. Because people don't learn. That one there does not learn. That's a level of psychosis that cannot be controlled. He will not listen. He will spend literally every waking moment trying to figure out how to get right back there. If you do not control it, he will do it. So his what he uses to protect his little empire that he builds, because it's that black and white blunt morality of sacred scripture that controls him. That if everybody is on that page, he is controlled. And he will have to wait his time, and he'll have to scheme harder. So it's in his best interest when things are easy for him. And how are they easy for him? Number one, he removes competition. The world is his blue ocean. He can do whatever he wants. He has no competition. That's number one. Number two, he has to control the national conversation. During slavery, the national conversation was, slavery is wrong. And here it's double wrong, because this is the land of the free. All men are created equal. Remember that? So how are we still have slaves? I know the money is great from the free slave labor company, but it's wrong. The money is great, but our book says that for love of money is the root of evil. So what are we doing? That was the national conversation during slavery. This one, whose memory is at least that long, is like, I got to change that. Mass media is his tool. Drew that sword, sliced through all of our brains, through generations, and now we hate religion. Every other post on every single social media, I see every dumbass that I'm following vilifying religion because you lack intelligence. You're the puppet of this jackass. So, now we have to deal with this. My people are the wealthless bottom caste now because you take at face value the fiend who you have no business taking at face value. You have no business believing that creature. He told you secular materialistic humanism is what we need to be. We need to let go of the crutch of God, and we need this is intelligence, and you believed him. And now you are the wealthless bottom caste in this country you built. The sexual revolution started out nobly. Our women were a second-class citizen figure, she was treating her bad. She had a right to be like, hey, the Lord thy God says only righteousness is what he uses to judge us humans. So why am I being treated this way? I should be side by side with you, not behind you. She had a point. So as soon as that sexual revolution started, the usual suspects saw an opportunity, and they attacked the family through it. That wasn't a natural extension of the sexual revolution. But now, after a full mass media, multi-generation mass media mental massage, you lack the ability to discern that. So, what you also lack the ability to discern is whether it's good to have these shades of gray, these areas of gray, this ambiguity. You think that's good. The BS gray Jedi concept. Shades of gray in morality, in anything, benefits only the fiend, benefits only the 1% grifter class, benefits only he who hates competition. Only. And when you talk that trash, when you talk shades of gray with a straight face, you give yourself away as an agent of the fiend. Knock it off. So, the pros and cons of morally ambiguous decisions. The pros benefit the fiend. The cons are against the rest of us. God is the author of what is wrong and what is right. He's the one that definitively drew that line in the sand with the revealed scripture put on earth for that purpose, to guide you. God said, this is the list of what's wrong. This is the list of what's right. Choose. And I'll be judging you on the other side. Get yourself together. For all of our sakes. Peace.